Okay guys, welcome to another 8-bit face-off kerfuffle. This week I'm taking a look at Collect Gems 'em Up Boulder Dash, which is one of... it's not one of the earliest computer games. I mean, there's been computer games that came out years before it, but it's certainly one of the most popular ones on all the home systems. It's been ported to pretty much... I would say pretty much every computer, certainly the popular micros, and it even got a release in arcade. There's not many computer games that get released for the home market and then get a port across the arcade, but this was one of them. And famously, famously if you're a Commodore 64 man who read Zap magazine, Rockford, the little chap, kind of looks like a grasshopper. I don't actually know what he is. Is he an alien? Is he a grasshopper? Who knows? Is he an ant? Possibly, with a jumper on, I don't know. But anyway, Rockford became the kind of the unofficial mascot of the Commodore 64. He used to appear in the little at the top or bottom of the Zap magazine. But anyway, I digress. This is the BBC one. Now, if you look at the bottom, you'll see this video runs on for half an hour. I didn't actually realise there was quite so many versions of this game. I kind of thought it was going to be Spectrum, Amstrad, Commodore 64, maybe Atari as well, obviously. I think that was one of the first ones. But yeah, this is the BBC one. Really, really, really nice. Very, very impressive. Now, because of the obviously number of systems, I'm not playing a full game because I was going to say I'd be there forever. It's not a game. It's a game that I've played a lot back in the day, but I didn't get particularly far. I don't know how far I got in it. Maybe 10 screens in. It's a game I really need to start playing again. I mean, just going through and playing it on all these systems again, it's just rekindled the love I've got for this game. It's a brilliant game. I may actually make up a why I love about this game, because it's one of these games. It just looks horrendous in comparison to some games that you've got. Even when you start playing it, you're like, oh, look at the animation. You know, it's not pixel animation. It's character based animation, but it's such a joy to play. I mean, the big thing for me with this game is it's all in the level design. I mean, it's just incredible. Needless to say, there were multiple sequels. I think there was Boulder Dash 2. There was one, Rockford's Riot. Was that the second one? Or was that the third one possibly? I think that was the second one. Then there was a Boulder Dash construction kit. And if you if you go into Google, you'll find about 100 different versions of this game for the Atari 8-bit. It was just one of these big fan base games. You know, you could make your own levels, but it's a lovely, lovely game. So anyway, yeah, this is the BBC one. Bright colours as you would expect, but it plays really, really well. The only version of this I've actually played up to this point was the Commodore 64, and this is spot on. Whoops-a-daisy. Yep, that was the BBC one. Now this one is DOS, Disk Operating System, or the PC if you want to say that. Peter Lipo, so it was made by the same programmer. I don't know, did he port it? I'm not quite sure. Now again, absolutely spot on. Sounds maybe not quite as good as the BBC one or the C64 one, if I can recall from memory. But it plays really well. You can see the diamonds are kind of quite basic. They're just white diamonds as opposed to the sort of coloured sparkly things that appear in other versions. But you know what, it's nice and responsive. It plays really well. The one thing you've got to be very careful about this game is you don't get trapped. It's very, very easy to run under a boulder, and of course it comes down and it traps you and you can't get out. The only way to actually move on is to either, there's usually a reset button, or else you've got to wait for the clock to tick down. My ears are bleeding with that noise. But yeah, this is absolutely spot on. It says it plays really nice. No complaints about this at all. Don't know when this one came out. Was it 1989? Was it? I didn't notice when it came out. It's kind of funny to think that there were PCs back in sort of the mid 80s. I always imagined PCs to just have kind of emerged, I don't know, late 80s. Although, I mean, PCs are obviously getting used in offices. I just never really realised that there were games for PCs, because back in the mid 80s, a PC would have been a lot of money. You're probably talking about a couple of grand for the bottom range of PC. So I never really thought of the PC back then as being a sort of a legitimate gaming platform. You know what you can do if you stand and hold down the fire button, you can like eat the dirt or pick up the gem without actually moving, so you don't have to take a risk. Oh! That sound effect was probably one of the most prolific sound effects of early computer games. I'll give this level a go. This one's a complete bastard. It really is. It's you've got to take your time and just think about what you're doing, because it's the easiest thing in the world to run underneath a rock and bang, you're dead. But then you've got quite a strict time limit as well, and the number of times that I've played this game and thinking, yep, I'm absolutely hammering the level here, only to realise I've got 13 seconds and I've still got 4 or 5 gems to collect, and I end up losing and dying. When you get to the end of the time limit before you collect the gems, then it's back to square one again. But anyway, that is the DOS one. That is excellent. Right, next up is the Amstrad. Now I've got to say, when I loaded this game up, I had to double check that I'd loaded the Amstrad one, because I thought, oops, I've loaded the Commodore 64 one, because it looks almost identical, which is no bad thing, because the C64 one is really good. Now, first impressions of this one are very favourable. I mean, I don't think that Amstrad is renowned for particularly good scrolling. I don't think it's got any hardware scrolling as such, but this one actually scrolls along really nicely. Now, one thing about, which you'll see later on, about Boulder Dash, there was a flaw in some versions whereby the scrolling wouldn't actually keep up with the character. So in other words, you could actually run off screen. If you go too fast, you would actually run off the screen and you couldn't actually see what was coming. So you had to kind of run forward and then basically wait for the scrolling to catch up. But this one seems to be absolutely fine. I was fearing the worst for the Amstrad, because as we all know, the Amstrad seems to have some of the worst conversions ever, and also some of the best conversions ever. But I'm really happy to see that this one is an absolute sterling job. It's really super quick as well. The movement is it's very fast paced. Probably one of the fastest ones I've actually played. It's got a slightly different colour. He's got a wee kind of blue hue to him, rather than the browns of the Commodore 64, which I know you'll all find really surprising. That the Commodore 64 has quite a lot of browns and greys. Anyway, enough of that. I don't know how many times I've played this game in my life, but I still always go into wee bits of rooms looking for stuff, thinking, where on earth are they? Now when you get that, I think that is an extra life. I think. I might be talking nonsense. When you get that little flashing thing, that means you've got all the gems, so you can now exit. I mean, there are extra gems which you can pick up for more points, but if you just want to get to the exit, then once the screen flashes, you're good to go. Let's give this one a wee go and see how we got on. Always hated this level. But you know what, it's one of these games, practice reaps its own rewards, and it's a bit of a memory game as well, to be fair. You've got to figure out, you know, it's unlikely you're going to complete one of these levels on your very first go. Maybe some of the earlier ones you may do, but generally you've got to take a few goes just to kind of suss out the level, see what's what, you know, see where the gems are, what you have to do to activate some of the screens, which obviously you're not going to get to see today. I mean, I may actually do another video about this, just playing Boulder Dash properly, as there won't be any gems on screen, and the only way to get them is by either activating one of the walls, which means when you drop a boulder on top of the wall, it falls through the wall and changes into a diamond, or else there are baddies you've got to blow up using rocks, and when they explode they'll turn into a sort of bunch of gems as well. So there's different ways. It's quite a complex little game, but that is Amstrad 1. That was fantastic. Now here is the one we just mentioned. This is the C64 one. This is the one that I played. It does, I was going to say it does look very similar to the Amstrad, but they all look very similar. So I'm talking shite. But yeah, they really, I know I'm sounding like an old fart, it's because I am an old fart. They really don't make games like this anymore, and it's a shame because this is a fantastic game. They could really do better than, or do worse I should say, than re-releasing it. Now what I'm doing here is, I'm just going to show you that in the C64 one, it doesn't seem possible to run off screen. I mean, it is getting quite close to the edge there, but you can see there the scrolling is at least quick enough to keep them in view. But some of the versions, I'm sure the Atari 800 version, you could actually run off screen, which is surprising because it is a very good version, and I think it was one of the first ones as well. But it might have been one of these little things they didn't really realise until later on. Love that wee noise. Ring! So you can see at the top there, I've collected 3, I've got 4 gems, 5 gems, and I think you get 20 points, I think is it, per gem. And I've currently got 6, and I've got to collect 10. You can see there 10 at the left hand side. I think it says 10 gems and it's got 20. Is 20 the score, is it? Let's have a look. 424. Let's see if we go up to 444. Yeah, that's the amount of points. So each gem's worth 20 points. You've got 10 to collect. So I've got 1 more to go. You can see there 9. I think there might only be 9 in this actual level. No, there you go, there's actually. There you go, I've got an extra one, so I've collected 11 gems. The screen flashes when you're good to go, so let's run down to the bottom and get to that exit. Some of the levels later on are just absolutely mental. It's just like millions and millions of rocks and that kind of stuff. I always loved these kind of games. I always thought, or these levels, they were always really fun to play. This one's quite an annoying level. You've just got to kind of piece your way bit by bit. Yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, they could really do worse than bringing out a remake of this game. Don't change the graphics. Just bring it out as it is for the PC, PS4, Xbox One, whatever, Switch. Oh, can you imagine playing this on a Switch? That would be heaven. It really would be. If anyone from Nintendo are watching this video, then seriously consider bringing this out for the Switch, guys. Portable Boulder Dash would be a thing of beauty. And don't, if you are going to do that, don't go trying to tweak it. I mean, I think the arcade version of this, they basically fucked about with the game mechanics and they added extra bits, which just leave it the way it is. So anyway, that is a Commodore 64 one. That is a great version. Right, this slightly different looking one is MSX. Now right away you can see how fast the scrolling is. There's absolutely no danger of your wee guy going out because he stays in the middle, so rather than him moving to the side, the screen literally scrolls around him. Looks slightly limited colour wise, although saying that, you've still got the nice wee sparkly gems with their sort of little rainbow. Yeah, you can see there it's they've really nailed the scrolling part of it, so you're never going to run off screen, not in this version anyway. Oh shit, I thought I'd trap myself there for a second, but I was able to get out. Well, that noise is the same as every other version. This one's super fast. It's like if they well, I know they did bring it out for the arcades, but this was like, this would be the version they bring out for the arcades really quick. But if anybody knows what Rockford is he an ant? Is he a space alien? Is he a grasshopper? Or is he just a little insect what collects gems and moves big rocks? I must admit, when I was making this video, I think I mentioned at the start of the video, I thought there was literally going to be maybe 3-4 versions. I didn't realise it was going to run to quite as many. It's only when you start looking. Boulder Dash! I like that. So when you get the maximum number, or when you get the designated number, it flashes up on the screen. Right, we'll have a quick go at this. I don't hold out much hope. It does take a bit of getting used to with the controls, because especially when you're running. Right, that's the MSX one. That's excellent. Right, coming up is the Game Boy. Now, somebody commented on a video that I'd done before, talking about when I feature Game Boy games, and what they said was, you know, you're kind of comparing it, you're giving it an advantage, because on the real hardware a game may have not been playable properly, but through wonder of emulation, I mean, I'm playing this on a PC, it's on a big screen and the screen doesn't blur, it looks really nice, but a game may not play as well on the original hardware. So I totally get what the guy was saying. So this has obviously been played under emulation. Saying that, I did actually own this game for the Game Boy, and I remember it being perfectly playable. That music would get in my tits after a short amount of time, I think, though. Now you can see they've changed Rockford. He's no longer an ant or whatever bollocks. He's now he looks like a little miner of some sort. And the Game Boy, I mean, I'm obviously not using I'm not playing this in the real Game Boy just now, but I remember the gamepad wasn't the best suited for this sort of game, because like there, when you're running down, you're getting chased by a rock, you've got to be very quick. So I always found a joystick was always the better option for a game like this. But for a portable version of game, Boulder Dash, it's quite nice. And get to the exit. Hey! Yeah, anyway, listen, that is the Game Boy one, guys. That's not bad. Right, now this is the original that I'm aware of, I think. This is the Atari 800 one. Now, I'll tell you a wee story about this game. When I was a lad, when I first got to know about computers, there were no big department stores that sold them. I mean, your places like Boots and John Menzies, they didn't stock computers at this point, so my computer needs were satisfied by a little local shop that was owned by an Italian guy, and he had, I used to go up to the computer shop. Now, by the way, you'll notice the sound's a bit messed up. Yeah, just before that, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. You can see there I'm running to the side, and it's actually, the scrolling's not going fast enough, so he's disappearing off the screen, which isn't very good, so you need to be careful. Yeah, getting back to what I was talking about. So I used to go up to his computer shop, and the guy, he was predominantly an Atari dealer, and obviously anytime you went into the shop, he was playing this game. He was playing Boulder Dash, and he used to talk about it to anybody that cared to listen. Even when he got the Atari ST a few years later, he would still sit and play Boulder Dash. So that is recommendation enough that this is a fantastic game. I was slightly disappointed to see just now that, yeah, the scrolling, that you can lose Rockford off the edge of the screen. So that would certainly mark this one down slightly. When I was making this video, I probably had it in my head that, yeah, the Atari 800 is going to be the winner, because, or not the winner, it's going to be the best version because it was the original. Not quite sure I'd still go for that, because there's been some fantastic other versions that don't have the scrolling, lacky scrolling speed thing. But it looks fabulous. Very pink and purpley, this one. If you've never played this game, honestly, if you've got an original hardware, go and load it up, go on eBay, buy it. If you don't have the original hardware but you've got an emulator, load it up and play it. It's a fantastic game. It looks completely pants, but it's such an enjoyable game. It is literally gameplay over graphics. It's a real quality game. It's one that I tend to forget about, and it's only when you start playing it you realise just what a sublime game it is. As I said, it's all down to the level design and the simplicity of the game itself. It's arcadey from the point of view that you're running about. It's quite fast paced, but then it's very much puzzle orientated as well. You can't just run blind into something. You've got to kind of have a look ahead and think, right, if I go down there I'm going to get trapped, or I'm going to get a rock falling on my head, like what I did there. Yeah, that was a Atari 800 one. Right, this version, 2 guesses, bonus points if you can guess what version this is. I'm sure you've already guessed. Yep, it's a Spectrum one. A rather anemic looking Rockford. Now, out of all the versions we've looked at, it's probably got the weakest scrolling. It's a bit laggy. It's no overly smooth, but then that was the simpler hardware. The important thing is, so yeah, you've kinda got to wait for the scrolling to catch up a wee bit. Yeah, you see there, I actually ran off the screen, so it's got the similar. You'll see here if you run off the screen. Yeah, that is a fault of the game. It's something. Yeah, I ran into that without even knowing where I was going. So yeah, that would definitely count against this version, which is a shame. I'm quite sure they could have easily fixed it, but I guess the designers of the game are probably thinking, well, you're never going to run as quick as that. But that's not true. There are some levels where you just want to run as quick as possible, especially if you're getting getting tailed with some baddie. But I mean, apart from that, it's still a very playable game. It looks nice. You know, they could have easily have gone for a complete monochrome version of the Spectrum, but they've gone for what's quite a nice coloured one. I mean, the walls look really nice as well. You'd think by the time I'd played as many versions as I have already, I would know exactly where to go to get these gems, because I think they're all, I think the level layout are all exactly the same. Yeah, so you've just got to you've got to be patient with this version. You've got to wait for the scrolling to catch up, which would be a wee bit annoying if you're trying to leg it to to an exit with like 7 seconds to go. Alright, okay, I need to move that little bit of dirt. And get in there. Move along, push that, and move up and get the gem. Wait for the scrolling to catch up. Yeah, it does make you feel a wee bit nauseous when it's kind of scrolling up and down, left and right at the same time. And there's one more gem to get. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, anyway, listen, that is a Spectrum one. Right, a few more to go, guys. This is the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, as you would expect, it's got more in common with the Game Boy one. I was mentioning earlier on that the ColecoVision or the MSX one would be probably, if there was an arcade version, it would be like that, but I think it would probably be more like this. I always find it slightly disappointing when you've got a classic game like Boulder Dash and they remake it for, like, what was a newer system, the NES. Why they insist on changing the graphics? But I suppose, they're trying to appeal to a new generation of people. It's only people like myself that remember the original, so yeah, they're updating it, I suppose, which is fair enough. So yeah, I mean, it looks slightly different, but it plays very well, and that's the important thing. There's even a wee bit extra kind of animation going on there. All the rocks are sort of swaying from side to side, which is slightly disconcerting, but anyway. And this one's got some funky music. Good! And he's jumping for joy, little... I don't know what he's called. I was going to say Minor Willie, he's not in this game. World map, yeah, obviously they've enhanced it, with maps and whatnot. So this looks pretty much like the original level 2. The one thing I forgot to mention in Boulder Dash, you can start, you don't have to always start, excuse me, you don't always have to start on the very first level. You can actually change what level you want, but if you're just starting off the game, i.e. you've never played this game before, I would suggest you stick to the earlier levels to begin with, just to get a feel for what you're doing and, how you go about completing each level, because some of these later levels are complete bastards. Take it from me, guys. I've played this game often enough over the years to know that. Yeah, I thought I was hemmed in there, but as long as there's dirt you can get out. Whoa. That's what you need. Excuse me. That's what you need. A really responsible, I was going to say, a responsive controller when you're when you're running down the way like that and you've got a rock chasing you. You've got to make sure you get out quick enough. I might just do this. You never know. How are we doing for gems? I can't even see. It doesn't actually seem to tell you in this one. Oh no, yeah, I think that's 0. Yeah, I've got them all. Hooray! Got a few extra ones. Mop up. How are we doing for time? I've still got loads of time. Come on, get in. There we go. That is excellent. That is the NES one. Right, this one, prizes for guessing it. This is the Apple II. Yeah, I was surprised as you were. This is actually really sweet, really nice. It reminds me very much of a cross between the Commodore 64 and the Amstrad one, and possibly the BBC one. I don't know why I was surprised that this was good, because the Apple II was actually quite a capable computer. It was very much on a par hardware wise with the Commodore 64. Even the sound sounds the same. Now let's test this scrolling. Yep, that looks absolutely fine to me. We've got all the gems, so I can now hot foot it to the exit. Looks like little bricks. The blue bricks look very much like Lego. I'm going to say, I'll be hard pushed to what is the best version. Bloody hell. You know what, there's not really been a bad version. I mean, the Spectral one is obviously the one that lacks the colour, and it's also got that, it's also losing a point for the sort of, you know, the kind of ropey scrolling, which, you know, isn't down to, it's not the Spectrum's fault. The Atari 800, which I thought was going to be an out and out favourite, I would have to mark down again because of the scrolling. You can actually run off the screen. There are so many. I think I would really be hard pushed to actually decide what the best one's going to be. Anyway, listen, I've still got another. We're still playing this one. I've got one more version after this to play, and I bet you can't think what it would be. I've not featured any 8-bit versions. Not 8-bit versions. I've not featured any 16-bit versions. Because I think, was this out for the Commodore Amiga? I think it might have been the horrible arcade version. I don't know if this came out. I need to double check actually now if this actually came out for the Atari ST and Amiga. Don't know. Right, let's give this a go, see if we can do it. I think I've only done 1 or 2 of these levels so far. Whoa. Go on then, one more go. It's very pinky, this one. I don't think it would look that nice if they had too many colours. It would just look a kind of garishy looking, but yeah. Right, anyway, listen, that is Apple II. Let's take a look at the very last version. And here we go, it's by Microfun. And this is on the Coleco. Yeah, I was as surprised as you were to see this game on the Coleco. I thought I'd trapped myself there. Certainly got big looking graphics. Right, kind of looks like a cross between, I don't know. It looks more like a Spectrum, although the Spectrum didn't have that kind of greeny colour. And obviously Spectrum certainly couldn't do the little flashing gems, which is quite impressive looking. So yeah, what have we looked at? BBC, DOS, Amstrad, C64, MSX, Game Boy, Atari 800, Spectrum. You know what, there's not been a bad version. You know, if you were a kid back in 1984, 1985, you wouldn't have been disappointed if you'd got this for any of your computers, because there's really not a bad version. You know what, I'm going to have to go, I can't put them into order because there's so many good versions. I would have to say my pick, cream of the crop, top of the pile, best versions, I'm going to put the Amstrad, the Commodore 64 and Apple II all into first place, because I think it's really hard to separate it. If I was, this is going to be controversial, if I was really pushed, I would probably go for the Amstrad and Apple as being joint favourite, joint top, with the C64 coming in second place, third place, whatever it is. Yeah, if you get two people who are first, the person after that is always classed as third, which always confuses the hell out of me. So yeah, I'd probably go for that. I think I'm going to go for the Amstrad and the Apple II, which is a bit of a surprise to myself as well. But if you've never played this game, guys, go and load it up in an emulator. It's absolutely fantastic. It looks like a bag of shite, but it plays absolutely beautifully. Ooh. Right, let's give this level one go before we call it a day. This version, it looks like little Rockford's kind of, looks like Atomant. He's dressed in his little superhero suit, his little green superhero jumpsuit thing. Ah, balls. Anyway, listen guys, that is it. That is the ColecoVision. So yeah, Amstrad and Apple II in first place. As usual guys, thank you very much for watching.